are back. It is time for the DTM 2014. We're here at the Hockenheim Ring. At the moment, I'm in the middle of the box. This is the box of Mike Rockenfeller, one of 7 champions. And the DTM has never been tighter, believe me, because 7 champions are amongst the 23 eager drivers. And now let's check out how Rocky is doing. Rocky, you'll be starting in P10, and I bet you will do everything that is possible to do really well in this first race.
Well, of course, that's always the goal. You know, it's not the best starting position, but it's a long race. I hope we have a good strategy. I hope I can make the tire last long. And yeah, the goal is to score points, to be in the top 10. And then from there on, it's a long season. So we are really focused, and I try to improve, of course, the position.
But frankly, how does it feel with the number 1 on the boot?
Well, inside it feels exactly the same, like you have a different number. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. It was a nice experience last year to win the championship, and now we try to do it again.
All right, well, best of luck. And Rocky took the time to take us on a ride here at the Hockenheim Ring. So here's the Hockenheim Ring from Rocky's side.
Now we arrive to corner 1, which is a really quick one. You have to be careful on the exit, not to go too wide. You have to stay with 2 wheels on the track. This is crucial, especially in qualifying. Then we arrive to corner 2. You shift down to 2nd gear. You accelerate onto the main straight, where you arrive at the end with the top speed around 260 when you have the DRS open, without maybe 250. Is also the best place to overtake other cars in the race. In qualifying, you have to be really late on the brakes, but make sure that you don't miss the apex like I did now. And then you have to be early on power again. The rear axle always tends to lock under braking, so that's the tricky part. Then you shift up to 5th gear. You do this corner flat out. You arrive before the Mercedes tribune. Shift down to 2nd gear. Here you accelerate the car, get some wheel spin, and here in this corner it should be flat, but it depends a little bit on the balance of the car. Then entry motordrome is 4th gear, really quick, only a short braking, and then Sachs corner, you take an odd line, you are really on the upper side of the track, and then you accelerate early, flat out to these 2 corners. And then the last 2, you have to be in 3rd gear again. Quite tricky, very hard for the tires, the left side tires. And then you accelerate again, and we are on start finish. And hopefully you look on the display and you did a lap around 1:32.
I'm now here with Timo Glock. Now, Timo, last year was your first season. You did really well winning the last race at Hockenheim Ring, and also you're 9th all in all, in front of big names like Scheider, Tomczyk and Green. So it went really well for you, but what can we expect this year from you?
No, I mean, it was a good season, and in 2013 and 14 just needs to be a step forward. I just try to have under every race there should be some points, and that's the target. For me, I need to have a sensible step from last year to this year, and that means to be more consistent in the points and do less mistakes than last year. And I think yesterday in qualifying we had not a bad start into the weekend, into the season, and the possibility to score points is quite high at the moment. So.
Now, I've got a new car, BMW, the M4. What's the biggest difference in regards to the M3, and what can we expect?
Yeah, I mean, I think it looks quite different, very aggressive, and at the end, we just analyzed the M3 last year where it had its weak points, and we tried to just make it better and improve the car in every area, and I think that's what we did. BMW Motorsport did a good job over the winter, worked very hard, and the car just looks very nice. I mean, the street version is very nice, will be one of my road cars in the future, I think.
And now there are 2 new racetracks in the calendar. That's China and Hungary. And last year there was a promotion action, and you were there also. What do you think? I mean, Hungary for you has a big meaning. Why is that?
For some reason, I have a lot of fans in Budapest. Yeah, since GP2 and Formula 1, where I scored my first podium in 2008. Every time when I arrive there at the airport, there are already some fans waiting for me. I don't know how they find out my flight details, but they are there every time, which is great. It's good fun with them, and the event was just unbelievable. They had 450,000 spectators in the city, and it just blocked all the roads the city center, and that was quite impressive. At a 4.5 kilometer track, I think, and we could put on a good show for the fans, and hopefully they come all to the race in a couple of weeks.
Now we're hoping for a good show today for the race. Best of luck. Thank you very much.
So there was Verena talking to Timo Glock as we take our first look at the grid for today's race. Adrien Tombe on pole position, then Marco Wittmann alongside in the first pole for Adrien Tombe. What a result for him. Then we see Bruno Spengler, and alongside is Antonio Felix da Costa. Good showing from Antonio Felix da Costa as well. As we move further down the order, we see Matthias Ekström, and alongside Matthias Ekström is Edo Mortara. Then as we continue to scroll through the grid, Martin Tomczyk there and Timo Glock, we've just heard from him. And of course we'll be visiting that Hungaroring where the demonstration took place last year. Timo Scheider and the champion Mike Rockenfeller starts from P10. Then we see Augusto Farfus P11 with Nico Müller alongside. Be interesting to see what Nico Müller delivers during the course of the race today. Maxime Martin and Gary Paffett. A lowly starting position for Gary in P14. Then we see Pascal Wehrlein and Joey Hand. Welcome return to the American Joey Hand. Then we see Jamie Green and Paul de Resta with the next row of the grid. Okay, it's Daniel Juncadella and Robert Wickens. New livery for Robert Wickens' Mercedes this year. Christian Vitoris and Vitaly Petrov alongside. And then we'll explain more, but Miguel Molina lines up right at the very back. As we cross back now to Verena Wright.
I'm here with Paul de Resta, who's just getting ready to get into the car. But just quickly, after 3 years, you're back from the Formula One here in the DTM, starting from P18. How difficult is it to be back in the DTM?
Yeah, it's been quite hard. It's a competitive series, but yesterday was not the easiest of days. A bit of traffic on the second set in Q1. We were unfortunate, but I think all Mercedes have a lot of work to do, and yeah, hopefully it'll be a year of memories at the end when we can get things fixed and get back near the front where we should be.
All right, well, best of luck. Thank you very much, Paul de Resta, and back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Verena. So Paul de Resta then tells us the story, really. A lot to be done by Mercedes, but before we go into that, let me introduce alongside me Chris Hartley, who I hope will give us the story behind Miguel Molina being right at the back of the pack.
Yes, he qualified 6th originally, and then late last night the news came through that Miguel had been put right to the back of the grid because, wait for it, a technical infringement, which was nothing to do with the engine or performance or power or anything like that. He wasn't carrying a mount for an onboard camera, and they kicked him out and put him right at the back of the grid.
Well, there we have it. Rules are rules, as they say, but some seem amazing at times. As we look at the preparations going on, there is Timo Glock then in the familiar Deutsche Post colours. He keeps that livery. We saw good stuff from Timo Glock last year. Just wonder if we will see another impressive season from Timo Glock. We will wait and see. So here is the grid once again, Chris, and a great heli shot of the Hockenheim ring to give us this grid, and of course the indicators there to tell us what tyres that the drivers are on, and slightly different strategy is going to take place today.
That's right, yeah. The new rule for this season is that you can only use the softer option tyre for no more than 50% race distance. Bruno Spengler, the first of the front runners who's gone with the standard tyre to begin with, bumped back up to third. Originally, Antonio Felix da Costa was shown as third fastest in qualifying yesterday, but his fastest lap taken away from him for exceeding track limits. Then you see Gary Paffett, the best of the Mercedes drivers, the 2005 champion, 14th. Of course, he actually qualified 15th, but with Molina put back, he's on to the 7th row of the grid now. 5 of the Mercedes were out in the first part of qualifying yesterday, weren't they?
Yes, it was not the start that Mercedes would have wanted, and we were in conversation with various people from Mercedes last night, and there was a performance problem across all of them. It wasn't one or two particular drivers. It seemed to be commonplace across the whole of the brand, and they have got work to do, and you can rest assured that they will have worked tirelessly throughout the night as well to see what they can derive from those cars and try and identify. They were saying that they had to look at all the data and try and analyse So Verena Wright has got Nico Rosberg alongside her right now.
Yep, I certainly do. Here he is. Hey, Nico, nice to see you again here at the Hockenheim Ring. Now, you had the chance today to drive a historic car from '57, the Silver Arrow, but also the DTM car. What is the main difference between the two?
Oh, it's massive. It's incredible, you know, but it's good fun to drive both of them. First of all, to get the experience of what the car from the 50s felt like. You know, it's unbelievable. It's another world. But even then, I could go, I could push. I could put it sideways and everything, and it was great. And then, to be honest, I was even more impressed by the DTM car, because it's the first time that I drove a current one, and they're so quick. It was really good fun.
All right, and all in all, it didn't work out too well for Mercedes-Benz in the qualifying yesterday. What do you think are the chances today in the race for Mercedes?
The chances are not that good because, you know, starting from that far back, it's going to be tough. For sure, I think they can work their way up a little bit, but it's going to be difficult to get right to the front. But anyway, early days in the season, so there's still plenty of time for them to develop, and I'm sure they're gonna fight back.
Thank you so much, Nico. Have fun, and back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Verena. So Nico Rosberg, he looked like he was having fun in that car, didn't he?
Absolutely right. Fantastic opportunity for him. But yeah, things going rather well for Mercedes in Formula One. Not quite so well in DTM at the moment. We heard from Paul di Resta earlier on. He's the last driver to win a championship for Mercedes in DTM when he was last in it in 2010. And it's Audi that have won 5 out of the 7 titles in recent years. There's Marco Wittmann looking as one of the strong drivers for this year for BMW. And BMW actually won the manufacturer's title, even though they didn't win the driver's title last year, didn't they?
Yeah, no, and I think Marco Wittmann very much a dark horse, so we will see. But great result in qualifying yesterday, and we must mention this for Adrien Tambay. Weren't absolutely sure that we were going to see Adrien Tambay back in the DTM again for 2014, the 30 years of DTM in 2014, but Tambay is back there, and he set out his stall with a vengeance yesterday.
Absolutely right, and in a qualifying session in which thousandths of a second were the difference between getting through to the next stage and not. He blitzed it in the final part of qualifying, but an absolutely mega lap in and was almost 0.2 of a second quicker than anybody else.
A great result for Adrien Tambay, and we'll see what he can do in the race from pole position in the best possible place to start it, that is for sure. But it is, and I know you've been speaking to Gary Paffett, and it's, the grid is just littered as we see Alex Zanardi and Bernd Schneider there. The grid is littered with such talent. It's got to be perhaps the strongest ever.
I think so. You've got these youngsters who are coming to fruition now. People like Mortara who've been in it for a couple of seasons. People like Wittmann who are getting used to the car as well. You've got, as we know, 7 former or current champions, and 12 of the drivers on this grid, Dave, have won races in DTM. So it's an extraordinarily talented field this year.
Yes, of course, and we've made a great play by virtue of the fact that we have 7 champions in the grid for 2014. Di Resta, Paffett, Tomczyk, Spengler, Rockenfeller, Ekstrom and Scheider. So, wow, it's full of anticipation and excitement for this race 1 to get underway and to see how things develop. Of course, lots of changes this year. Performance weights are going to play a part from race 2. Obviously not in race 1 because no racing has been done yet, but that's certainly going to come into play for the next round at Oschersleben as we hear the cars roar into life now and get ready to leave the grid on their formation lap. And we are about to go racing with a problem for Tomczyk down there, who didn't get away on the formation lap very well. Car seemed to bog down. It is only the formation lap, it's not the race start, but nonetheless not the sort of preparation that he would need right at the start of that. So every other driver of course avoiding it as they would on the mere formation lap, but cars on the way round this 4.5 kilometre circuit with DTM cars, of course, the ability to use DRS, which does make the overtaking opportunities perhaps a little easier, but actually, Hockenheim, there are 1 or 2 key places where overtaking moves are at their best.
That's right. A new reg for this year as well is that DRS can be used right up until the end of the race. Previously, when it was introduced last year, you couldn't use it for the last 3 laps. And the way it works is that if you're within 2 seconds of the driver ahead at the start of the lap, your DRS is activated. There's not a certain area on the track where it has to be used. You can use it anywhere you like on the track, activate it once only. You get 1 chance at it. As soon as you hit the brakes again, it's deactivated.
So there, another great heli shot off the back of the parabolica to the hairpin here at Hockenheim. So DRS option tyres, of course, performance weights that will come in from the next round. And there you can see the 4.5 kilometre circuit here, which Paul de Resta, still with a lap record, which was set in 2008, Chris, a 1:33.576.
Yeah, that's going to go, isn't it, today?
Yes.
You'd have thought, because pole position time yesterday was 1 minute 32.2. Another point to note is that they're all on the same compound as Hankook tyres than they were last year. So Hankook haven't made any developments or changes to the tyres to try and stabilise things a little this year, with the other rule changes coming in.
So once again, we see Nico Rosberg and Bernd Schneider there having a brief conversation before the start of this race. Nico Rosberg, a huge DTM fan. Whenever he gets the opportunity, he does check it out, as we see the focus on the face of Bruno Spengler there. He's one of the drivers that has elected to retain the livery from last year. Alex Zanardi and we see Jens Marquardt in the BMW garages there. Jens Marquardt, the boss of BMW Motorsport, as the cars round the last two turns head up towards the grid, where they will line up, and we will throw the lights up onto the screen for you, and we will be away and racing. There is Toto Wolff, the boss at Mercedes, and doubtless we'll see Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich as well at some point. Toto Wolff, of course, as you said, enjoying great success in F1. Certainly doesn't appear to be the case at the moment in DTM. So cars all lining up then, and we await the green flag from the marshal at the rear of the grid to say that all the cars are in their correct positions. Once we get that, then the countdown is on for season 2014 to get underway for DTM here at Hockenheim, the traditional season opener here. We're just around about an hour and a half away from Frankfurt. There are the lights up at the top of the screen for you. The engine note rises, so too the anticipation and the excitement. The lights go out and we are away and racing in 2014. And Bruno Spengler trying his level best to get past, and he does. So Bruno Spengler goes through into P2. Tombe got a great start though. He got away, didn't get bogged down. We see one or two cars, including Jamie Green, go off wide.
Yeah, Jamie Green looked like he got off the line pretty well, and Farfus running wide as well. Not a huge amount of progress made for Miguel Molina from the very back of the field, and everybody safely through the first corner as we go on board with Martin Tomczyk. And look at this, he's got a good run coming down now into the Parabolica. They're going to be three abreast here, Dave, down towards the hairpin.
Absolutely remarkable stuff, and Timo Glock is joining in the mix as well. Absolutely incredible. We head to the hairpin. Bruno Spengler has gone backwards. He'd got up into P2, but seems to have lost that place in the first part of the lap. Jamie Green going out wide again at the exit of the hairpin. There is the champ Mike Rockenfeller.
Yeah, looking pretty racy, isn't he? Rockenfeller trying to get up from 10th on the grid, but he can't find a way through. Farfus is just behind him. Rockenfeller squeezes through a place at the inside there.
So here they come then, and Adrian Tombe from Marco Wittmann. Then it is Bruno Spengler. Some damage, I think, to Jamie Green's car. Yes, for sure. You can see the damage on the front corner there. Obviously been some contact. We've seen him go off a couple of times, and he's holding the rest of the pack up now, Chris.
Including fellow Brit Gary Paffin, who's trying to get by in the blue and yellow Mercedes there. He's got a smoke screen blocking him at the moment as Timo Scheider goes for a move on Eduardo Matara and makes contact with him and muscles his way through at the end of the lap.
So as we complete the first lap of racing, it's Tombe from Wittmann, Spengler.
Timo Glock's made a good start, hasn't he, up to 5th place. He was on the 4th row of the grid. He only just missed the final phase of qualifying and by a few thousandths, and he messed up his best lap right at the end of the lap. So I think Timo's one that's going to go forwards in that yellow Deutsche Post BMW.
Only one pit stop rather than two across the DTM for 2014, as we can see Bruno Spengler being hounded there. Antonio Felix da Costa and now Marco Wittmann just taking a look on the inside of Adrian Tombe. He's sticking with Tombe, and you're absolutely right. Timo Glock is so racy.
And da Costa's gone through. ahead of Spengler and into third place. What a start to his campaign in DTM. The rookie Antonio Felix da Costa from Portugal. Absolutely terrific in qualifying yesterday as Timo Glock makes a move out the inside. Timo Scheider's trying to follow him through as well, and Bruno Spengler's starting to go backwards in this race. Don't forget, Bruno is on the harder compound tyre, so maybe this is coming into play for him, because lots of those around him are on the softer, quicker option tyres.
Yes, of course. So we're on board with Bruno Spengler now, who is perhaps paying the price for that, but that strategy may play into his hands a little bit later in the race. Very, very early stages of this, but the one that's impressing so far, well, two that are really impressing, da Costa and also Timo Glock, absolutely flying.
And Miguel Molina's up to 20th place, so he's not exactly carved his way through the order. He's picked up 3 places in this race. Everybody's still running. And Jamie Green, I think, still going. Is he? No, he's pulled off now. He didn't start the lap, but Jamie Green, we saw the damage. I suspect he's, yes, on his way into the pits now. In comes Jamie Green with this damage to the front, which he picked up, I think, in the first couple of corners. And he's gone straight into the garage. That's not a good sign. He's going to be here for a while, I think. So real frustration for Jamie Green.
Oh, and Whitman has a go and perfectly executes the first part of the move. And I say the first part of the move because we've seen so many moves go wrong there at the hairpin, but Whitman has done it and done it really well.
Really good move from Marco Whitman. These two young guns at the front of the field. Adrian Tombe trying desperately to get back, but it's the BMW from the Audi. Look how far clear they are already of da Costa in third place. Now, I know he'd been having a tussle with Glock and Scheider and Spengler, but that's a big gap, 4 seconds or so from second to third. There's Timo Glock having a really good start to this race, up to fourth, and this day a replay of that battle for the lead.
So Marco Wittmann then up the inside there, and Tombe just thought he might be able to cut back there, but brilliant traction from Wittmann off the exit of that hairpin, and that's where we've seen so many get bogged down, and that cut back has worked, hasn't it, in terms of coming back at an overtake move. But wow, Marco Wittmann leads the race then as we start lap 3 of 42. It's DTM 2014, and already in the opening lap, so much overtaking, so much excitement.
Yeah, both those guys on the same option tyre as well at the front of the field. Da Costa in third place. Likewise, Timo Glock in fourth place is on the option as well. Timo Scheider in fifth place on the option tyre. So the best of the drivers on the standard harder tyre is Mortara, the ex-Formula 3 Euro Series champion, who's at the moment running in sixth place.
So Robert Wickens there in the Freeman's livery. And there on screen, Wittmann, Tombe, Felix da Costa, Glock, Scheider, Mortara, Spengler, and Ekstrom, the top 8 for you. And the BMW Bank livery of Spengler there as Wickens up the inside of the hairpin here. So race being led by Marco Wittmann, Timo Glock, and da Costa. There is our race leader. There is P2, Adrian Tombe. There is Felix da Costa, P3. Glock is P4. And the P1 and P2 really have opened up a gap, as you suggested, Chris.
As Timo Scheider, the last driver to win back-to-back titles in DTM, and he's just at the fastest second sector of anybody. So Timo Scheider having a good start to his campaign here as he goes over the start-finish line, and still that 4-second gap back from second to third, which is da Costa, Glock, then Scheider running in fifth place, Mortara sixth, having got ahead of Spengler, who's dropped down to seventh place. Ekstrom is eighth. Rockenfeller's made up 1 place in ninth. Tomczyk rounding out the point scorers at the moment in 10th position, and still the best of the Mercedes is Gary Paffett, who's picked up 2 places in 12th.
And there we can see Gary Paffett, and just as you mentioned that, Robert Wickens goes through. Robert Wickens saw some real talent from him last year, and expecting great things from him as Timo Glock and Scheider there. Timo Glock in P4, but under some pressure from Scheider now. Look at that, absolutely nose to tail, Chris.
Yeah, Timo Scheider having a glance this way, tries the other way, and it's too tight through left-hander at Mercedes, so he'll continue to shadow the man ahead.
And with Verena right now is Jamie Green. Let's hear about it.
What exactly happened? It's a disastrous start for you into the season. The car is so damaged. What happened?
Well, I actually made some progress, quite a lot of progress in the first half of the lap, and then I was behind Farfus into the Mercedes arena. He went to the outside, so I was behind him, I went to the inside. Then at the last minute he came to the left and I hit him. But I think, to move around in the braking area like that is not fair. And that's why I ended up with the damage.
And how frustrating is that, especially in the first race?
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, this weekend didn't run very smoothly from the beginning for me. The positive thing is the Audi car is quick, and I was quick in qualifying, but we had some problems and I went off the circuit once. So starting from the back of the grid is always difficult, and especially when people change their line in the middle of the pack, then these things happen.
Bad luck. Thank you very much, Jamie. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Verena, and well, really, really good to hear from Jamie Green as we're watching Scheider and Glock here. But interestingly, that he had that contact with Farfus. We didn't see that, and I'm just looking at where Farfus is down there in where are we? P11 at the moment. So presumably no damage to sustain to the Farfus car, but Glock is under pressure here now.
The two Timos tied together, and look at the inside once again. Positive, aggressive driving here from Timo Scheider. Yeah, Jamie Green alluded to the fact, and we mentioned it earlier, that he was quick in qualifying, but he ruined his best lap, went off the road, and it looked like he might even get through into the top 8, and that sort of ruined his weekend after that. And as he mentioned, he did get away well off the line, but when you're at the back of the pack and it's all very busy on the first lap, you're always at risk, aren't you?
Yeah, very much so, and he's changed teams this year and says that he feels altogether more comfortable there. It seems to suit him, and was full of confidence when we spoke to him yesterday, and, well, sadly that's all been ebbed away now, hasn't it? But it's a long season ahead, as this is a fantastic shot where we can see Robert Wickens, the front end of that aggressive-looking Mercedes there. Fantastic camera angle that we're able to bring you here, and Wickens really going for it here.
He is, yeah. He's picked up a couple of moves, hasn't he, Robert Wickens? And very surprising after his breakthrough season and his race victory last year to see the Canadian struggling at the time. But then we realised that actually the Mercedes were all struggling, and it wasn't necessarily down to him. But Robert Wickens trying to get in amongst the BMW of Farfus here. They're all trying to get in towards the tail end of the top 10. In fact, he's got ahead of Farfus, and he's now Wickens onto the tail of Tomczyk. So one BMW has been dispatched, and he's now onto the tail of the 2011 champion, and he might be going for it, Dave.
You bet, and it is with that champion, that former champion, that this on board is welded to as he takes a look now, Robert Wickens. And, well, he has done that, tucks in behind Rocky, and Robert Wickens executed that absolutely perfectly. So Robert Wickens on a move and on a charge. And this is Scheider on Timo Glock, Chris. Yeah, it's been coming for a while, this, hasn't it? And Cruises past, I suspect, a bit of DRS in that move as well. This the replay of Robert Wickens then. Very good under brake, and he's pulled up a couple of moves like that. And Robert Wickens, who has started this race in the 10th row, he started back in 20th on the grid, is into the top 10 now, and he's one of the drivers from the back of the field. Christian Vittoris is another who went for the option tyre. So we've just seen the leaders go through. Marco Wittmann, then it's Adrian Tombe in P2. Then we have to go way back before we see Da Costa, Timo Scheider, Glock. There is the BMW Bank car of Bruno Spengler, the champion Rocky, and there Robert Wickens. We've just seen him pass to Tomczyk and do it very, very well. And next in his target sights now is the champion from last year, Mike Rockenfeller, and he is looking very, very aggressive, is Robert Wickens. This is an exciting one to watch. Yeah, well, it's one Mercedes that's going well, isn't it? Absolutely flying is Robert Wickens, and behind him, Tomczyk is himself going to come under pressure now from Vittoris, who's another quick young gun in a Mercedes which struggled in qualifying, but seems to have actually pretty good race pace. He's going to look at the inside here. Rockenfeller gives him a wide berth. Wickens goes through, and behind, is it going to be synchronised overtaking? Vittoris has got his nose in front here, but Tomczyk, he's not going to let him go easily. They're going to be side by side here, Dave. This is absolutely so close. Look at this. Those cars utterly side by side. So Tomczyk having the better line, of course, through that corner, and Vitoris has to yield, doesn't he? He's not able to keep alongside. Augusto Farfus sits behind them. We're on board with Christian Vitoris right now as we continue this lap. There is Tomczyk, there is Christian Vitoris. We're on lap 8 of 42. Robert Wickens has made short work of Mike Rockenfeller ahead, and Vitoris hoping to do the same with Martin Tomczyk, but thus far his trials to do so haven't quite worked out, but Vitoris seeing some good aggression from him.
Yeah, from 21st on the grid up to 12th. So these two young guys going really well, Wickens and Vitoris, on these softer tyres. They might as well have tried something different, and they have tried something different to those around them. Di Resta, for example, near the back of the grid, didn't go for the softer tyre, and he's 17th at the moment, but maybe the second half of the race will come the way of the former champion.
So just seeing Gary Paffett go through there, down there, P14, and rankings there after the start. You can see on the left-hand side of the screen for you who's gone where. And now, Bruno Spengler. Robert Wickens dispatches with ease, or does he, as Spengler fights back now, but he doesn't have the traction. I mean, Wickens has got that hairpin and the structure for that, how to work that hairpin absolutely perfectly.
Yep, now we're going to see a replay of the start here in the background. Look, you can see Farfus makes quite a good start. Jamie Green made quite a good start, but was sort of boxed in at the front of the field. Given that it was his first pole position, Adrian Tombe actually got away very cleanly. Spengler made a good start in the BMW, and straight into second place, but that didn't last too long, as you described, did it, Dave?
No, absolutely not. He did make a blistering start, but stay that way for very long. There we can see Tombe, and that's where Wittmann got back at Spengler. Spengler ran out wide. And look, we went 4 abreast at one point here.
Yeah, one that's really gone backwards in this race is Nico Muller. He's dropped 8 places in the race from a reasonable grid in the middle of the field. On board with Bruno Spengler, the BMW, as you say, got to second place initially. But then if we stay with it long enough, yep, there we go. We'll see Wittmann getting him back on the way out of the corner.
And this is a fantastic low-down shot then of everything that was occurring behind, and you can see just how many cars Farfus and Rockenfeller went out wide as well, and Timo Glock was able to take advantage of that. Timo was one of the real beneficiaries, wasn't he?
He was, yeah, made a good start, did Glock. So Wittmann leads by 1.3 seconds now from Tombe to Costa, still hanging on to third place. Rockenfeller conceding another place to Christian Vitoris this time. So the German, 4th in the championship last year, comes through ahead of the German who won the title last year. With those 2 race wins, Mike Rockenfeller, it was the way he kept picking up points in between those race wins. In fact, the only time Mike Rockenfeller didn't pick up a point in a race was in the final round here at Hockenheim. Otherwise, 9 races out of 10, he was in the points, and that's why he won the championship.
Yes, all about consistency, isn't it? And constantly scoring. May not necessarily be all about race wins, as we have seen. Good crowd here at the Hockenheim to enjoy this first round of the DTM. And where are we? Lap 10 of 42. So Marco Wittmann leading from Adrien Tambay. Then it's Da Costa, Scheider, Glock, P5. There we can see Christian Vitoris.
So Wickens and Vitoris both in the points now, Dave.
Yes.
From near the back of the field. They're 8th and 10th respectively. Keep one eye to Timo Scheider as well. It was a couple of tenths quicker than Da Costa last time around, now that he's got past Glock.
You can see Gary Paffett leading that pack of cars there, and Gary Paffett we kind of almost expect to be the leading Mercedes out there, but a couple of his manufacturer colleagues doing a great job. There's Mortara.
Just running a bit wide there.
With running with the standard tyre, and probably the best performer on that standard tyre at the moment is Mortara, some 21 seconds behind the race leader, Marco Wittmann. There's Robert Wickens. Hans livery on the Mercedes, and he's made short work of Ekstrom there, hasn't he?
Yep. Ekstrom on the standard harder tyre though. And this is a combination of Wickens being able to use DRS, and then it's the grip that he gets from those softer tyres to be able to brake that little bit later on the way down into the hairpin. He's working the combination with great effect. And looking at the times, Dave, I'd say that at the moment, at this stage of the race, the softer tyre is up to a second and a half quicker than the standard tyre. So Mortara already, who's the best of the guys on the standard tyre, is in 6th place, but he's already 23 seconds behind the leader after 11 laps. So he's averaging almost 2 seconds a lap, isn't it?
Yes. So that front pack then, Wittmann, Tombe, Costa, Scheider, champion Rocky there, with Bruno Spengler ahead of him. Rocky currently down there, P11, Spengler in P10. Look at that BMW bounce down the straight there, and the Tomczyk car doing the same on board the pit perch, and sadly can't hear what was being said there. So out of the hairpin, that shot of Spengler now under some pressure from the champion Mike Rockenfeller, looking for that P10 place potential. Wittmann leads from Tombe and Da Costa. So Spengler here having to defend, and there we can see Bruno Spengler at work, the BMW bank car being driven by former champion Bruno Spengler, the current champion right on his tail there, Mike Rockenfeller.
That's right, and just ahead I'm looking at Wickens in 7th place now, and he's a second a lap quicker than Mortara in that 6th position, so that's going to be a battle that develops very, very soon. Wickens flying through. These guys, this group here, all on the same tyre. Spengler, Rockenfeller, Tomczyk and Farfus, who doesn't seem to have any damage to the car after that described contact with Jamie Green.
So the charge that Mike Rockenfeller had on Bruno Spengler about a lap ago seems to have evaporated. Spengler now putting a little bit of a cushion between himself and Mike Rockenfeller. There's Gary Paffett. Joey Hand right behind Gary Paffett. Joey Hand, a returnee. Good to see him back in the DTM. But there is Robert Wickens, who, for both of us, is making a lot of noise this afternoon, isn't he?
Yeah, going really well, but it could turn out to be a race of two halves, this. He's going to have to put the Torrent later. Farfus has made a place up there ahead of Spengler.
That's Rocky, the Scott past Spengler.
Yeah, Rocky ahead of Spengler.
We'd seen that battle, hadn't we? And I'd said that it seemed to have eased off, but either Spengler made an uncharacteristic mistake or Rocky got a boost from somewhere, but
could have been DRS, couldn't it?
It may well have been.
Could have been, because he was close enough at the start of the lap. It was within 2 seconds.
Yep.
So Rocky back up into the top 10. Started 10th, went to 9th, dropped to 11th, back to 10th. Here's a replay. Straightforward. Well, not that straightforward. He had to be very late on the brakes, actually, there, did Mike Rockenfeller. And you could see, actually, into the right-hander, Spengler having to turn left to get out of his way. What was more impressive was how tidy he was on the way out of the corner, actually, Dave, given how late he braked Mike Rockenfeller.
So there is the man that has got past the BMW bank car of Bruno Spengler. Mike Rockenfeller. We're on board with Tomczyk now, who's the next one with Spengler perhaps in his target sights. And then Farfus sits behind Martin Tomczyk there. We're talking about places 10, 11, 12 and 13, and Rocky into P10 now. On board with Martin Tomczyk then. Great to hear them absolutely cane these cars around the Parabolica, heading up towards the hairpin. Another fantastic shot looking back at the Augusto Farfus car.
Yeah, Farfus had dropped back a bit on the previous lap, and he's coming back. He's coming right back. Look, there he is in the distinctive colours of that BMW. Farfus, the Brazilian driver, coming good here. Already a race winner, second in last year's championship, of course, to Mike Rockenfeller. He actually won more races than anybody else. Pit stop window open. You have to pit. You can't pit in the first third of the race in DTM. So the pit window is open. But if I was on those softer option tyres, Dave, I'd stay out there because they are still quicker.
Yes.
And I'd use them for as long as I possibly could, the full 50%.
Yes, 50% the maximum that can be used. and then they have to be changed. So we're watching Robert Wickens here, and Wickens now on the back of Mortara. Wittmann still comfortable out front, got a 2.7 second margin back to Tombe. There's Rocky, Spengler, Tomczyk and Farfus. And on board we go with Tomczyk. So Wickens then lining up Mortara next around the Parabolica. Is he going to have a go this time? Absolutely, for sure.
So the car's bouncing there over the tarmac, can't you? Pretty rough and bumpy, but straightforward move again for Wickens. Mortara will let him go. May well know that his competitor's on a different tyre compound to him. So Mortara bumped back down to 7th place. And a couple of seconds clear of Ekstrom, who's the next best of those on the standard tyres. So at the moment, Dave, we've got Wittmann in the lead, Tombe second, and Da Costa third, neither of whom have ever won a DTM race.
No. That really is amazing stuff, and we just saw another fantastic move pulled off by Robert Wickens to plant that Mercedes further up the order. Certainly the best Mercedes to show, isn't it? And as we see Gary Paffett and Joey Hand continuing to battle there, and Paul di Resta in the mix as well.
They've switched around, haven't they?
Yes.
Hand was behind Paffett when we last saw them, so they've just changed around. And Joey Hand's absolutely rocketing away.
Yeah, he is.
Got past. And the BMW, much quicker. So he's obviously being held up for a number of laps there by Paffett. On-board shot there shows how quick these 570 brake horsepower cars are, doesn't it? As Timo Scheider now.
He's run out really wide there by Da Costa, wasn't he?
Yeah. How's it go? He's been catching the Portuguese driver for the last 5 or 6 laps. But the double champion, the 08-09 champion Timo Scheider, will wait to pick his moment. Well, this is not a bad effort, is it, from Da Costa in his first ever DTM race? He's got double champion behind him.
No.
He's got all the champions behind him, in fact.
So there is Antonio and Timo Scheider giving chase there. And you've been right on that, in fact, the speed that Scheider has been carrying. And this is a replay of his boldest attempt so far. Really was run out wide there by Da Costa, wasn't he?
He saw it coming, didn't he, and just squeezed him. And this is going to be how Joey Hand's got ahead of Gary Paffett. Either side. Either side they went. I think Gary only lost to one place in the end. So Paffett down to 15th position now. Di Resta was having a go, but he remains in 16th place. And here's Timo Scheider trying to line up another move on Antonio Felix da Costa, trying to get ahead of the M4 BMW.
So you can see the DRS being deployed, how that just falls away, doesn't it? And here comes Timo Scheider again then. Antonio Felix da Costa on the inside, Timo Scheider on the outside here as they head towards the hairpin. And Antonio Felix da Costa okay. Timo Scheider goes for the switch back there, but don't think he's anything like close enough to be able to make that count on that occasion, Chris. But he is trying, and he's right into the boot now of Antonio Felix da Costa. Timo Scheider really turning up the wick now. Around, thought he was going to go to the outside. There is going to be in the wrong place for the next turn. He has to yield and let Antonio Felix da Costa go, but Scheider is obviously very, very keen here.
Antonio Felix da Costa is putting that car in exactly the right place at that hairpin. He's not over-defending, so he's still quick out of the corner. And he's making Scheider try the outside line, and he's braking in exactly the right spot. Really mature driving from the man that's been racing in Formula Renault and GP3 the last couple of years to a very different type of racing he's come. And he's straight on it. But Scheider, overall, does seem to be slightly the quicker of the two. You're right.
So as they just pass our commentary booth, we take a look into the Audi garage there, and there is Marco Wittmann, and there, look at Wittmann now. He's got some 4.2 over Adrien Tombe. Then it's this battle between Da Costa and Timo Scheider, which we've been watching over the last couple of laps, and has been supremely exciting. We're expecting it to continue to rage. Christian Vittoris we go on board with now, who is down there in P8, who's got Mortara ahead of him. You can see it through the windscreen there as we're on board with Christian Vittoris in his Mercedes AMG. And here it is. Robert Wickens goes through. There's Christian Vittoris then. Tracking the back of that Audi. Mortara going to come under attack. Shortly, you feel sure DRS deployed. And here comes Christian Vittoris. Heavy braking into the hairpin. Oh, very close to being contact there, but, well, fair play to Mortara. Did that well.
A little bit too far back, wasn't it, at the start of all that, Vittoris, but a good go. Just looking at the lap times, I think the performance gap between those on the softer tyres at the front of the field and those on the standard tyres is coming down. It's more like a second a lap now, where it was more like 1.5 to 2 seconds a lap. I suppose the big question is, though, I think we're going to have a race of two halves here, because everybody else is going to switch to the second half of the race as soon as they can to the softer tyres, and they'll have a lighter fuel load. How much quicker are they going to be in the second half of the race?
Absolutely, you've called that exactly right. And it's interesting the note you made there about how the advantage is now reducing. We see Da Costa there and Scheider. Marco Wittmann, 4.5 second advantage to this man in second place. And here comes Scheider once again. And this time has done it. But look at that car bounce now. Antonio Felix da Costa is not going to go down without a fight here. They're absolutely side by side here, but surely Scheider had got better traction there, hadn't he? And carried more speed through the hairpin, so he was able to make the move stick. But Antonio Felix da Costa wasn't going to go down without a fight.
It's a bit odd, that, wasn't it? He got the move done on the exit to the Parabolica before they got to the braking zone. And then it looked a bit like Scheider had kind of messed his braking up and was going to give it all back away, but Da Costa couldn't quite nip him back. So Timo Scheider up to third place now, Da Costa fourth. All of this has been allowing Timo Glock to begin to reel them in. He's not that far behind in fifth place. There's Marco Wittmann, 4.5 seconds clear now of Adrian Tombe. Really strong performance this by Marco in only his second season in DTM. He goes through to start a new lap. But yes, I suppose the question is going to be, is the performance difference between the tyres going to be any greater when they've all got a lighter fuel load?
Sorry to interrupt you, just saw from the corner of my eye, that man coming in is the first to make a pit stop, and that's going to be Timo Glock. The point you made about those that are out on the standard tyre is going to be on the options. Of course, they're going to have a lower fuel load, aren't they? What is going to be the advantage that they're going to have? We'll see that play out in due course. So Timo Glock, the first in then.
It's good as a Formula 1 pit stop, that, isn't it? 3.4. Unbelievable.
So Glock then resumes on lap 19 of 42. Here is our race leader, Marco Wittmann, with the Ice Watch livery across that BMW M4. There you can see over the last 3 laps the gap down to Edo Mortara.
We're going to see a flurry of pit stops soon, because those on the softer tyres, you can't use them for more than 50% of the race.
So it's got to be
within the next 2 laps. They're going to have to come in, aren't they?
Yep.
When we get to 21 out of 42, we're there. We're halfway.
All sorts of strategies will be put to play across the DTM season 2014. 30 years of DTM. There is Edo Mortara then, and in comes Marco Wittmann.
And Tombe, top 2 in.
Okay, so a BMW Audi race in the pit stops now. There is Marco Wittmann. We get the clock on. Super smooth for Wittmann, just 3 seconds. Not quite so good for Tombe, 3.4.
Scheider in as well. And Da Costa in. And the rest of them on the softs are going to have to come in on the next lap. So the race leader was the one that had the better pit stop. 3 seconds dead. Best one we've seen so far. And that's Timo Glock ahead of Da Costa, isn't it? So Timo Glock comes through. The one that pitted first. Costa's lost out a little bit there.
So that worked for Timo Glock, didn't it?
Yeah, it's gained a place. Christian Vitoris in. They're all coming in, aren't they?
Yeah. So Robert Wickens 3.5, Christian Vitoris 3.8.
The temptation for those on the harder tyre is to come in as soon as they can, as soon as the 50% part of the race appears when we're halfway in. But I just wonder if anybody will brave it for a bit longer, just to stay out of the way of all the pit stops and have a cleaner run for a couple of laps.
So there is Wittmann, who leads in the BMW M4. Here comes Adrien Tombe. Last time around, some 5.4 seconds behind. Then it is Timo Scheider, Timo Glock, who managed to get past Antonio Felix da Costa.
And I think their pit stops were about the same, weren't they? 3.4 seconds. So it must have been the in lap and the out lap in which Timo Glock was slightly better than the youngster.
Maybe so.
I guess we're going to be seeing Wickens come in on this next lap as well, having had a terrific drive through the order so far in that Mercedes.
So an overhead shot of the team there preparing themselves. Scheider, Glock, Antonio Felix da Costa through the parabolica, heading up towards the hairpin here at Hockenheim, 4.5 kilometre circuit. Traditional opener for DTM, and there's a stack coming into the pit lane as you so predicted, Chris.
Yeah, Paffett leading them in now. Wickens, and then Mercedes coming in together, aren't they? Wehrlein in, Petrov in, Paffett's already out, Pascal Wehrlein goes out, Petrov out. Not much between the pit stops, was there? Gary Paffett's wasn't that good, 4.2. It's not exactly sluggish, is it, 4.2 seconds to change full tyres, but when some of them are doing it in threes, low threes, you know, every second counts.
Yes, you're right, it does. So here then, Wittmann, is he going to eke out yet another 10th or two against Tombe? Here comes Tombe, going to cross the line now. 6.3 seconds, Chris.
Very strong, because they're more used to this compounder tyre, because this is what they've been practicing and qualifying on. The option tyres only made available to them in the race itself. So familiar with this. More pit stoppers making their way in. Ekstrom comes in, and so does Matara. These have been the top two, haven't they, on the harder compound tyre. Rocky's coming in as well, the defending champion. So how quick the pit stops, Dave?
3.3, Fredo Mortara, who had, up until this pit stop, done a fantastic job, hadn't he? Also in Spengler, Farfus. Rockenfeller, look, 3.1. There's Spengler. There comes Augusto Farfus. And a bad stop for Augusto Farfus. Here's Paul de Resta.
Nearly stalling it then.
Problem there for Nico Müller. Oh, and there's been a problem there.
That's Maxime Martin, who's been clobbered. He's obviously come out into the
and the wheel is off.
Oh dear. And it's blocked the pit lane completely. Now it's been recovered that, but oh dear. Look, I mean, from the angle of the cars, it looked like he was released and hit the car that was oncoming, the Mercedes.
Well, doubtless we'll get a replay of that, but that an absolute disaster for Maxime Martin, wasn't it?
Absolutely. It was Hunkadeo, wasn't it, that hit him?
Actually, there was no contact, was there?
He did it.
Juncadella did a brilliant job in terms of stopping, didn't he? Let's be truthful. See it again, the wheel just wasn't... the pit crew, look, not happy. They knew.
Yeah, you can see it wobbling around already. Well done, Hunkadeo, for missing it, but that's ruined his pit stop. He was sat there for, what, 6-7 seconds, waiting to find a gap. Tomczyk comes in now. He stayed out a bit longer than some of the others, hasn't he, on the harder tyre? Wonder if that will work for him. So there is this argument to say leave your pit stop later because you avoid incidents like we've just seen when it's a busy pit lane. But when you've got a slower tyre, you know, the temptation is to come in as soon as you can, really. Molland is coming in now to the pits as well. We can see opposite the commentary box. There he is.
There's Joey Hand just leaving. And there's Molina. So 3.9, certainly not one of the best we've seen, but as you say, 3.9 isn't sluggish, is it? But when we have been seeing them in the low threes, there's Christian Vittoris there on Mortara.
Right, so here we go. The fastest first sector of the whole race has just been set by Augusto Farfus, who's now on the softer tyres. And before that, Muller had set the fastest final sector on his previous lap. So we're going to get even quicker lap times now. We've already broken the lap record.
Yes.
The 1:32.6. We smashed it. I think it's going to come down even more as the cars get lighter. It should do with these new softer tyres on for most of the drivers now.
So Eki then going to take Vittoris with ease. Car number 24, drive-through penalty, unsafe release there for Maxime Martin. Not surprised by that. So Eki didn't have a problem there, did he? Because, you know, all of a sudden, as you said earlier on, it is going to be very much a race of two halves. It's completely reversed from earlier on, isn't it?
Tables turn, yeah. They're all going to get their own back on Vittoris and Wickens now, aren't they? Right. I'm going to make you look like a mug now because I've got the better tyres on. Cruises past. It's easy, isn't it? Big performance difference with these tyres. This might be the way we're going to see the season go. Two different races and two different halves.
Yes, maybe so. So here, Paffett and Hand.
This pair have been glued together for the whole race, haven't they?
So that's Paffett P14, Hand P15. And Euronics livery from Gary Paffett, retained from last year. New set of colours for Joey Hand, though. The American, Parabolica now. And DRS enabled overtake there on Gary Paffett into the hairpin.
As you can see from the yellow band around the tyres, they're both on the same softer tyres. So Gary Paffett will have a look at getting back.
Of course he will.
But thinks better of it. Now Mortara in 6th place, who's the best of the drivers on the hard tyres. He's now on the soft tyres, and he's more than a second and a half quicker than the leader. His problem is that he's about 36, 37 seconds behind the leader. So he's got a big old bridge to try and close up now in, what, the remaining 16 laps of the race. He certainly could go for a podium, though, Mortara. It's definitely on the cards.
Here is our race leader, Marco Wittmann. You can just see in the picture there, P2 driver, Tom Bay. Timo Glock there, did I see being passed by Antonio Felix da Costa?
You did. How about that?
So just at the back of the picture there, but we pick it up right now as Timo Glock loses that P4 place. And there the graphics tell you who's on what tyres. It's the orange markings that on those graphics there. And point you made earlier on, which I think is worth repeating, is of course that those that have chosen, as we see the replay of the Antonio Felix da Costa move on Timo Glock, the people that are on the banded tyres now, of course, also going to have the advantage of a lighter fuel load.
Yeah, because they've all got the lighter fuel load, but it's whether that tyre works even better. Fastest first sector of anybody in the whole race for Mortara. Second sector is pretty handy as well, and he's absolutely charged. He's on in the 132s. He's 6th. The 5 cars ahead of him are all on the slower standard tyre now, and they're all about a second and a half slower than him, 1 3/4 seconds.
And this is the man that we're talking about.
This is him.
Absolutely flying now. The Audi.
Extron behind him as well on a charge. Both of these are on the softer tyre, so Eki, the double champion, going well. It's head down time, isn't it, for those ahead now? They've really got to keep on it and just try and limit the damage.
It is going to be close. We've got 34 seconds. We've got 16 laps. And with what he's gaining per lap, it's going to be a real fight to the finish. It's going to be very, very exciting here.
What he needs to do is, as soon as he gets up to the back of them, he's go for it past them. Right, tables turned now.
Yes, absolutely. As Rocky and Wickens there around the parabolica. Bruno Spengler is sitting there behind as well. But Mike Rockenfeller, as all those cars bounce up and down as they head towards the hairpin, and Rockenfeller goes through, and so too Bruno Spengler, and Wickens being hung out to dry there a bit. Is Spengler going to be able to do it? He's certainly staying out there, isn't he? Oh, really, absolutely committed to that, wasn't he?
Absolutely, yeah. Was barely a millimetre between them, was there? But through he went. So Spengler, who was the charger at the start of the race, and then went backwards, struggling a bit again at this stage of proceedings. There he is. Look how hard he's concentrating. Bet he blinks, does he, in the cockpit? It's 570 brake horsepower V8 super machine. And there's Rocky. And the replay of that move on Robert Wickens. Robert was doing this to everybody in the first 20 laps of the race. Now he's got to take it on the chin and see how high he can get. And see if he can get some points. If he can get some points from where he was on the grid, it would be some achievement. He's still on board with Spengler as he followed suit then, getting ahead of Wickens on the way out of the corner. Dave, this is Petrov and Molina. No, sorry, Molina drifting a little bit wide there. Petrov's got him.
So Vitali. Oh! Vitali.
There goes the onboard.
Oh, look at this stack up behind Wickens now. There's Augusto Farfus. And we're on board with Martin Tomczyk to see how this is going to play out. There's only one answer, really, isn't there? As they're heading up towards the hairpin, Tomczyk is going to go for it as well. Farfus is on the wide outside there. Is Tomczyk going to try and just dive up the inside? No. He settles in behind Augusto Farfus, but, you know, Robert Wickens must be furious sitting there, seeing all his good work, of course. It's all being repaid now, isn't it? As you've said, you know, it's what he did to them, they're now doing to him. So Martin Tomczyk we're on board with.
It's like swimming back to the shore, almost getting to the beach and then being pushed all the way back out again, isn't it? But we did wonder if this change in what you could do with the option tyre would, and I think it has narrowed the window for strategy ideas, but it's still giving us exciting racing, isn't it?
Very much so. So on board here with Spengler. So Spengler with Vitoris ahead of him. Crossing the start-finish line now. Turn one here at Hockenheim. Great to hear that engine being worked in that BMW as we stayed on board with Bruno Spengler. P10 for the former champion. Across the rumble strips there now, and Vitoris is going to become prey now as you see the DRS deployed, and here comes Bruno Spengler. They will head up towards that hairpin. Augusto Farfus not far behind. And Spengler ticks another one off the list.
Neat and tidy that. Look at Farfus on the softer tyre as well. Just thinking about it on the way out of the hairpin. Running up through the right-hander, 210 kilometres an hour, fifth gear, then down to second gear for the left-hander at Mercedes, and he comes. Farfus, Vitoris is pushed out wide, and he'll lose another place to Tomczyk.
Wow. So some brilliant onboard shots that we're able to bring you. This is the first round of the DTM for 2014. We're at the Hockenheim ring. And that's where Vitoris lost 2 in 1, didn't he? As Farfus and Tomczyk went through, following in the wheel tracks of the earlier move by Bruno Spengler. So heli shot we can bring you here of the start-finish straight then, and focusing on Augusto Farfus and Martin Tomczyk. Dive into turn 1. Shot for paddock on the right-hand side now. Here comes Tomczyk. Heavy on the brakes, just kisses the apex of the turn. Wittmann leading from Tombe in second place. We're on the parabolica now. Spengler, Farfus, and Tomczyk there. It's P's 9, 10, and 11. Really do. The cars just brake so hard into that hairpin, Chris.
Yeah, Tomczyk very good on the brakes. The last 5 or 6 laps of this race are going to be scintillating because Matara is 12 seconds down on Glock, catching him at 1 3/4 seconds a lap. So I reckon on about lap 35 with 7 to go, he'll be on to the tail of Glock. And then you've got Glock, Da Costa, maybe Scheider in sight as well. But I do think that the top 2 should have enough in hand here to keep them all at bay, those guys coming through on the softer tyres. It's worked beautifully, especially for Wittmann, who's, he's 8.7 seconds clear of Tombe, so he's still looking very strong favourite for the race win here.
Well, we're only a few laps from finding out. We're on lap 30 out of 42. We're watching Timo Glock now, who is currently P5. Antonio Felix da Costa, you just see go through there on screen. And there is Matthias Ekström, P7. Of course, very much following Mortara and setting similar times.
Timo Glock's pace is not good, is it? Compared to those around him on the same tyre.
No.
Da Costa took lumps out of him on the previous couple of laps. 3 or 4 tenths on each lap he's been taken away from him. So Da Costa easing away now in that 4th place from Glock in 5th.
So these are the 2 then we think who are on the charge, who are going to, over the next, we reckon, 5, 6 laps perhaps, going to be knocking on the back door of Glock perhaps sooner if Glock's pace doesn't improve. Edo Mortara and Matthias Ekström here. Phenomenal speed around the 4.5 kilometre Hockenheim circuit here. Well, is our race leader, who we've not seen too much of because he's out there on his own, isn't he? Marco Wittmann, the Ice Watch BMW M4 DTM. He's got some, well, just under 9 seconds advantage over the P2 driver, Adrian Tombe. Not absolutely sure we'll even see him. Be right at the end of this shot if we see him into that. Yeah, just there.
A bit of lappery. Hunkadea that he's lapping there. He was delayed in that pit stop. Well, he's about to lap him anyway. Right, so there is Timo Scheider. There is Da Costa. There is Glock. And we're going to see who they are in the background.
There we are. So Mortara and Ekström.
Ekström's gone through. Is that puncture?
He's got a puncture
for Mortara.
Oh,
goodness me.
What a nightmare.
Wow. So what happened there? Front left is completely deflated for Mortara. Has he run wide somewhere? Has there been contact? So Ekström's now the one to watch, isn't he? He's the one who's inherited 6, is the quickest man out there. I'll tell you what though, Marco Wittmann, he's bags quicker than anybody else on that harder tyre. He's the only one in the 134s. Everybody else behind him on the harder tyre. In the mid 135s. So front left that went, I think it's already gone at this point, hasn't it?
Yeah, it had already gone. You can see the bodywork, it was sitting that side, wasn't it? It had already deflated by then. Well, can't think where there will have been contact. It's got to be curbing or something like that. It could be the only thing, can't it? Because he wasn't close enough to be able to have contact with anyone, surely.
Unless there's been some debris on the circuit or
well,
something
maybe
like that.
so.
Who knows? But anyway, result's the same, isn't it?
Oh,
He's out. Real shame.
That is a real shame because had done such a fantastic job. Okay, so it's going to be over to Matthias Ekström to do so now, isn't it? On board with Martin Tomczyk. You see Augusto Farfus ahead through the windscreen there. And ahead of Augusto Farfus is Bruno Spengler. Those are P8, 9 and 10. On board with Tomczyk we go. Ten laps left to run in this first of the DTM season for 2014, and Eki will be able to see the Deutsche Post car within sight, won't he? And that will drive him still further to absolutely nail everything, wrestle everything out of this Audi that he can.
Yeah, Glock's last lap on the harder tyre in 5th place, 135.6 extra and 133.1, 2.5 seconds quicker. Glock is struggling much more than most of those around him on the slower tyres. Timo Scheider had a bad lap there as well. It might have been traffic or something, but he had a 135.7.
So this is the man that is going to be on the back of Timo Glock. We reckon maybe lap 35, maybe 36. Of course, we've seen
if he gets to Glock, only 3 seconds up the road is Scheider in 3rd. So, you know, if he can get through quickly without losing too many laps behind the likes of Glock and DaCosta, could be 3rd.
Just working out the maths here. We've got, 10 laps left. The gap to Wittmann, who's right at the very front. How much quicker Ekstrom is.
Oh, he's only 7 seconds behind Scheider in 3rd now, and he's 2.5 to 2 seconds a lap quicker.
This is
maybe even 2nd on the cards, actually.
Oh!
Or maybe not. Scheider spins. Glock's just avoided him as well there, narrowly. And what happened there? That's the hairpin, isn't it?
Well, of course, that's playing still further into the hands of Matthias Ekstrom, isn't it?
So DaCosta's 3rd, Glock's up to 4th, Ekstrom's up to 5th, Scheider 6th now.
So we'll see a replay of what happened there, but the beneficiary in all of that is Matthias Ekstrom, who was already going so very fast.
Oh, that's what happened. That was a long way back from DaCosta, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Scheider, he's going to be most upset about that. I mean, he was wide into the corner, but he was a long way in front of him, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately that's blotted what has been an exemplary copybook over his debut in DTM, I think.
You could kind of see why he went for it, because the door was left wide open, but I think Scheider only left the door open because he was so far ahead.
Yeah.
So, car 18 under investigation, and into the pits anyway.
Yeah.
Comes DaCosta. So damage to the front, damage to tyre. Maybe he's got a slow puncture from that. So that's a real shame, as you say, after a stunning debut. Of course, that's another place game for Ekstrom now.
Of course it is.
4th. So Glock's 3rd, but I don't think for long.
And they've got the wrong tyre.
Oh.
They're checking them.
Oh, carnage. No, that's ruined it completely, hasn't it?
Well, there's a lot of confusion there. Here comes a 3rd one into the mix.
In fairness, they're not expecting him to come in, are they? And they're not ready at this stage of the race, but... Ouch. Real shame. I think the question is, can we see Eki get 2nd place here? Go on board with Tomczyk, and there's Farfus having a go.
Yes. So Augusto for Farfus gets past Spengler. And Tomczyk there, drive-through penalty now for Antonio Felix DaCosta. Kind of not surprised by that.
Race is over anyway for him.
Well, it is. But Ekstrom he's got
him already. Left him.
Wow.
Left him for dead.
They did. I mean, the gap is already, look at it.
He's up to 2nd place, isn't he? He's got 6 seconds to make up.
Dieter Gas is with Verena right now. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Quick question. What exactly happened with Eduardo Mortara?
Yeah, as it looks, he had a puncture on the front left tire and he had to stop the car.
And do you think Ekstrom will be able to attack Wittmann? Do you think the option tires will last?
Well, Ekstrom is currently running in P3. It's just 2 cars in front. Normally he's very fast on the option tires, so I hope he's going to be able to move a little bit more forward.
Thank you very much. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Verena. That's brilliant stuff. Talking to Dieter Gas there. So, well, Eki has left Timo Glock. I'm just looking. 2.5, 3 seconds behind. We've got the clock running now between Marco Wittmann and Matthias Ekström. I'm sure you'll mentally do the sum. 16.42 is the gap. We have 7 laps left to run, Chris.
And he's, nearly 2 seconds a lap quicker than Wittmann. I don't think he's going to get Wittmann unless he makes a mistake, the race leader. He's going to get Tombe, though. He's 2 seconds quicker than him. He's going to be, 3 or 4 seconds behind him at the end of this lap.
There's Tombe just gone through. Here is Matthias Ekström then. Onto the start-finish straight. Gap back to Ekström from Tombe now is a mere 4 seconds. We're on lap 36 of 42. Wittmann is leading Tombe, P2. Matthias Ekström, P3. Timo Glock, P4. And there is our race leader, Marco Wittmann, who's had a fairly easy time of it out there at front, hasn't he? But he has been banging in fast and fast laps. I mean, the gap he managed to get over Adrian Tombe in terms of comfort, cushion.
It's almost been like qualifying lap after qualifying lap after qualifying lap for Wittmann, because he knew he'd have to build the cushion, and it's the laps in the middle of the race leading up to and just after the pit stop they're probably going to win in the race. And Ekström looking for his podium, his first since Moscow last year, and he had 1 podium in the whole of last year. Looks like he's already going to get one at the start of this season.
So Tombe goes through. Well, look at that. It's down to 2.698 now.
Yeah. It's consistently 2 seconds a lap, isn't it?
It's exactly what you said, that these option tyres then and the lighter fuel load, as well as the fuel has been burned off for the duration of the race, of course. Well, it is all playing into the hands of Matthias Ekström, as we see Dr. Wolfgang Ulrich look on with some pleasure, I would think. And the lights being flashed by Matthias Ekström to say, I'm on my way.
Well, BMW won the very first German production touring car race 30 years ago. They finished first, second, third and fourth. And looks like they're going to win this one. But maybe Audi will be the happier with their 2 men on the podium. And strategically, they've both done a good job, haven't they? Next lap, I think, is going to be, isn't it?
So Wittmann then, I think, will have done enough. But Tombe, well, it's just the sheer pace that Ekström has got. It's going to absolutely be able to do nothing. So the gap back to Tombe from Wittmann last time around was 11.7. Lap 37 of 42. Here comes Matthias Ekström.
Rockenfeller's the other one to keep an eye on in 6th place. He's flying after Scheider on the harder tyre in 5th. He'll be with him on this lap, I think.
Yep. So Matthias Ekström, Adrian Tombe here. Start, finish, straight, here they come.
Oh, did he clip him on the way past?
I wonder.
Bodywork flew off, didn't it?
Something flew off there.
It was a very late dart out, wasn't it? Maybe just nicked him as he went past. Well,
was there damage to the right-hand side there? Whether that's from earlier or whether it was from what we think just happened there. Another piece has just come off the Matthias Ekström car.
Yeah, I think he came up, approached quicker than he thought, and he had to duck out of the slipstream at the last millisecond. I think he might have just clipped him on the way out, possibly.
Well, there's another piece just away from the car and just...
Tombe's trying to hang on to him.
Well, I was going to say, he hasn't quite yet opened up the margin that we thought he would, so I wonder if that has perhaps caused a little damage to the front end of that car.
It's only half a second now between Glock and Scheider, and they're both being caught by Rockenfeller, so 4th, 5th and 6th. That one's going to go down to the wire as well in the remaining laps of this race. Yeah, there, the front left.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did clip him. That's where the bodywork's coming from. I don't think it's going to be a real concern, though.
So Matthias Ekström then, our screens are full of him at the moment. And there, Mike Rockenfeller, as you say, who's on a charge.
They both passed Scheider on that lap.
Absolutely.
Scheider's had a problem somewhere. Look, he's way behind them. So he's Glock 4th, Rockenfeller 5th, and Scheider's lost 3 or 4 seconds on that lap somewhere. That's Da Costa, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, the
In
Antonio
pits.
Felix Da Costa car. So 3 laps left to run. Rockenfeller is going to take Timo, isn't he? Here comes the champ then. The DRS is deployed.
Well, it's not going to be easy.
No, I don't.
On the way out of the corner, though. Here we go. He's got so much more traction out of the corner with those tyres on, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I noticed he was weaving around bits of bodywork as well. Presumably have come off Ekström's car from earlier.
So on board with Mike Rockenfeller then.
4th from 10th. Be pretty happy with that, I think. Now, how far is he? 6.5 seconds behind Tombe for the final place on the podium. Less than 3 laps to go. I think he's quite going to do it. It's going to get close.
So Mike giving it everything that he possibly can then. Very calm, cool, collected when Verena interviewed him just before the start of the race, wasn't he? There's Augusto Farfus, Bruno Spengler and Martin Tomczyk. On board with Bruno Spengler, currently P8.
They're all trying to catch Scheider, aren't they?
Yes.
Which I think they might do before the end of the race. Scheider in 6th, Farfus 7th, Spengler 8th, Tomczyk 9th. Joey Hand is in the points at the moment in 10th place. Gary Paffett just outside the points in 11th. I think Tomczyk's probably sick of staring at the back of Farfus and Spengler in this race. He's been following them all the way around, hasn't he, pretty much?
So Wittmann with 12.3 seconds over Matthias Ekström. It's going to take some huge mistake from Wittmann, isn't it?
Absolutely. Driven brilliantly has Marco Wittmann. On course for his first DTM win.
Yes, well, Ekström easing off to... Ekström then perhaps realising that discretion is the better part of valour. Let's keep it safe in P2. However, these 3 absolutely on a charge, aren't they? There is our race leader, Marco Wittmann. There is Ekström.
Yeah, I think he's bringing it home now, isn't he? He knows he can't catch 10 seconds in a lap. Not even Eki can do that.
There is Tombe. So Timo Scheider then is who this pack of 3 are after, and are they going to be able to do it? This is going to be a real fight, isn't it? There is Timo Scheider, there's Farfus, there is Spengler, there is Tomczyk. They're right on him. And it is the last lap. So Scheider on standard tyres, the 3 guys behind on the options.
Needs to become a very, very wide Audi, that.
Scheider needs to make that double the width, doesn't he?
Yeah, the hairpin's his biggest problem, and that's where they're headed for now, through the Parabolica, pushing 260 kilometres an hour. Who's going to make the move? Farfus, a bit too far back. But we know about the traction of these tyres coming out of the corners, and he's lining it up here, Dave, ready for a pounce.
You know what, Scheider is making that car wide, isn't he?
Into the left-hander might be a chance for Farfus, the Brazilian, if he can stay on his tail here. Well, no, that line's covered as well. So to the outside he switches. Can he cut back? Look how much more grip he's got, but he's going to be on the outside line for the right-hander.
Oh! And there was a little bit of contact there, and they've both gone off, and it's played into the hands of Bruno Spengler, who we're on board with.
Gift that. A gift.
Here comes Marco Wittmann that takes the checkered flag. Brilliant drive from Marco Wittmann. And here, Matthias Ekström. But let's keep an eye on this. There's Tombe, Rockefeller. Here comes Glock. Then it's going to be Bruno Spengler, Tomczyk, Farfus, and Timo Scheider. Wow, what a finish.
Yeah, wow. Completely turned on its head in the second half, that race, wasn't it? You got Vitoris and Wickens charging through from the back near to the front. But what a drive from Marco Wittmann. Wow, second season of DTM. Looks like it's going to be a good one for him, doesn't it? He has not put a wheel wrong. And the team gave him the best pit stop of anybody that we saw. 3 seconds dead. Brilliant drive by Marco Wittmann, the race winner in the Ice Watch BMW M4. And in the end, he was 12.8 seconds clear of Ekström, with Tombe third.
Let's go down to Verena Wright straight away.
Yes, I'm here with Jens Marquardt. Mr. Marquardt, what a perfect start into the season. Wittmann did a perfect race, and also I believe you've got 5 BMWs in the top 10. How do you feel? Are you a happy camper?
Absolute happy camper. I mean, really, from starting of this weekend, Marco did a fantastic job, and his team, Stefan and his guys, I mean, I'm so proud and happy for them. I mean, they had a tough year last year, and this year to start the season with a win, and for Marco, this is really amazing. I'm sorry for the move that Antonio did. He was a bit ambitious there with Timo, but okay, I think he'll learn from that. He's really sorry about that, but I think overall, no, for our rookie car as well, the M4 DTM, fantastic start of the season, and really a great thank to the big team that we have, and they really did a great job over winter, and we can only be proud.
You absolutely can be. Thank you very much, and enjoy the victory, and back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Verena. He always speaks so eloquently, Jens Marquardt, and you always feel it's utterly genuine as well, and he was sorry for that, wasn't he, that Antonio Felix da Costa had an ambitious move, but full of praise for this man who, he's absolutely right, has shone right across the weekend.
Stunning drive. I mean, you know, sometimes you look at people overtaking, but when you drive at the front like that, it's just as impressive, isn't it? So there's confirmation of the results. Wittmann, Ekström, Tombe the top 3, Rockefeller 4th, Glock 5th, Spengler in 6th, Tomczyk, Farfus, Scheider and Hand the other point scorers. Not a good day in the end. Look there for Mercedes. Wickens fell back to 18th place in the end after that storm through. Vitoris 15th. So that strategy didn't work on this occasion, although it was spectacular, and it did at least give them a bit of enjoyment in the race. So they're all pretty damn beat yesterday, weren't they, at Mercedes after that qualifying session?
Yes, you're right. Well, there's Ekström, there's Wittmann. Just awaiting the car of Adrian Tombe, which is on its way right now. What about that? Says Marco Wittmann.
He'll never forget this day, will he?
No.
And now he's the 13th driver on the grid to be a DTM winner. Championship leader.
Did everything absolutely right, didn't he? And you know, he'd made sure that he was in an unassailable position in the end, and by Jiminy, Ekström did everything he could, but it was never going to be enough, was it?
I think he'll still be happy, Eki, and I think Tombe as well, even though he started on pole, because they both had pretty tough seasons last year, so not quite what Tombe wanted from pole, but a podium, still a very good start.
Yeah.
Terrific drive that, wasn't it? Every lap. And by a long way, the quickest driver at the end of the race on those harder standard tyres.
So there, the Drivers' Championship, the Marco Wittmann 25 points, Matthias Ekström 18, Tombe on 15, Rockefeller on 12, with Timo Glock, Bruno Spengler, Martin Tomczyk and Augusto Farfus then. And members of the team all wanting a bit, quite rightly, of Marco Wittmann. poses for lots of shots there. Of course, we'll see them all up on the podium. The Icewatch BMW M4 DTM. And there is Adrian Tombe, being congratulated by Norbert Haug, of course, former boss at Mercedes, who's turning into a TV presenter.
Yes, has been partial these days, doesn't he? Well, after all that, guess who was the best placed Mercedes? Gary Paffett kept chipping away, but no points, unfortunately.
So replay then of the checkered flag falling for Marco Wittmann as he locks it all up in front of his team.
We had 6 different winners last year, Dave. Wonder if it's going to go that way again this season, because there's a lot of them capable of it, that's for sure.
Yes. So the delight in victory to be seen all around from Team RMG, Stefan Reinhold. And there, the man that delivered it. Marco Wittmann doesn't spend his life walking around the paddock with a smile permanently greased on, does he? But I think we might see one this afternoon.
It's a terrific entertainment, Dave, wasn't it? Very different to the strategies that we saw last year, but very exciting.
Here's Matthias Ekström now. What a race from Matthias Ekström with Verena Wright.
Absolutely, Eki, what a race. You really were flying from P5 to second place. How's it feel?
It's always nice to have a good race to start off the season, and to finish on the podium is nice. Sure, we are all here to win. I was also hoping to win, but I didn't have the real perfect pace in the beginning, and I was also a bit too careful probably, but in the end I rather finish P2 than out of the points. And just want to say thanks to Edo, because he was impressively quick, and I was profiting from staying behind him, and then I saw he were gone with a puncture. My tires was really perfect, so I'm sure he just hit the debris or something and made a puncture. So car was really good, and it looks like it will be an enjoyable season.
Absolutely, looks like it. Thank you very much, Eki, and back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Verena. So he's saying what we thought then, that Edo had picked up some debris, but also paying credit to what Edo had done as well, which was nice to hear from Matthias Ekström.
Yeah, Matara for sure would have been on the podium, wouldn't he? Had that not happened, second or third, and Tombe would have been the one that missed out. But he definitely, the two-time winner Matara, has got the pace to be up there this year, hasn't he, in his third season.
So there is Matthias Ekström then, and as he says, looking forward to a good season. Here then, whichever way you look at it, an impressive showing from this man, Adrian Tombe.
Yeah, especially in qualifying yesterday. Really strong performance at the back end of qualifying. Banged in a super lap. And yeah, after a tough season last year, he has showed that he's warranted his place back in DTM, hasn't he? Eki always superb. And just showing these youngsters that we're not seeing the back of him just yet. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. That's the man, though. Marco Wittmann. It's his day today, and fully deserved.
So you can probably hear the celebrations already going on for Marco Wittmann. There he is with Jens Marquardt. So Verena Wright, let's hear what he's got to say.
Marco, congratulations. That was a phenomenal race from the start. I just saw you getting a big hug from Marquardt. How do you feel? Are you just up there?
Yeah, of course. It's just amazing to start a season like that with a win. It's just great, and especially it's my first win. It's the first victory with a new M4, and also the first victory for my team RMG. I'm just so happy and so proud. We worked really hard over the winter, and to get this result at the end, it's just great.
It would be lovely if it continues like that, right?
Yeah, of course. First of all, I think we need to celebrate tonight a little bit, and then in 2 weeks we start from zero again. Need to work hard, but of course now the moment is really nice.
Enjoy that moment. Thank you so much, and back to you guys.
Thank you, Verena. So, yeah, he's going to celebrate tonight, isn't he?
I think so,
he's entitled to do
absolutely right. It's the goatee beard that's done it.
Yeah.
They've all got beards.
You might be right.
Timo Glock's got a beard. Gary Paffett's got a beard. Fastest facial hair in town, though, is Marco Wittmann, the neatest as well.
Right, we'll be heading up to the podium. But Adrian Tombe right now is with Verena Wright.
Adrian, what a race. I mean, how do you feel?
Great. I think first podium, first race, first pole position. What a fantastic start to the year. And yeah, even if you could have hoped for better from pole, I mean, if I start to be disappointed with the podium, it's a good sign.
All right, well, thank you so much, and back to you guys.
Thank you, Verena. Yeah, if I start to be disappointed with the podium, well, well done to Adrian Tombe. I think he's been impressive across the weekend. So the applause then as head up towards the podium does Marco Wittmann. Also going to see Matthias Ekström and Adrian Tombe. And here, slow-mos of that aggressive-looking M4, isn't it?
Yeah.
I love the Ice Watch livery. Absolutely fantastic. So, podium to come in just a few moments. What a start to the DTM then for season 2014. So they're getting ready for the trophy presentations. There's Tombe, there's Eki.
It'll be interesting to see if that gap in performance between the two types of tyres will be as big at other circuits. Because if it's not, then it's going to be completely different.
Has to be said, today is the warmest day we've had across the weekend as well, isn't it? And you were having an interesting conversation with Hankook yesterday about how the tyres perform and temperatures and track temperatures and such like. And we'll go into that on another day, I feel sure, because we're about to get the podium ceremony underway here at Hockenheim. Marco Wittmann is announced up onto the top step of the podium. Adrian Tombe, Matthias Ekström already there. Stefan Reinhold then from BMW team RMG. And Marco first to credit them, wasn't he, and said that they've worked all so hard over the winter. National anthem time. So the national anthem plays out for Marco Wittmann. Mr. Ho Yo Pei makes the trophy presentation to our race winner, Marco Wittmann. So Mr. Franz Beckenbauer makes the presentation to BMW Team RMG and Stefan Reinhold. So Mr. Guido Buchwald presents the trophy to Matthias Ekström. Dieter Gummer, the Lord Mayor of Hockenheim, makes the third place trophy presentation to Adrian Tombe. Just a prediction on my part here, Chris. Stefan Reinhold is going to get covered.
Yeah, I reckon.
Bubbly. Stefan Reinhold is going to be covered.
BMW take first blood, then Audi get 2 places on the podium.
There we go.
Now it's time to run. He's not quick enough.
I told you. I was looking at absolutely. I mean, he's been Muller, doesn't he?
Well, that shirt, he did a good wash anyway, didn't it?
Brilliant celebrations up there.
I know he's blind. Don't push him too close to the edge of the podium, boys. Can't quite see where he's going. Great day for BMW. Really a good day for Audi. Not so for Mercedes. Just outside the points. It was Pascal Wehrlein, wasn't it, the best of the Mercedes? Not Gary Paffett. They're 11th and 12th, respectively. I'm sure they'll be back.
Yes, bit of work to be done, but it will be done. That's for sure. As we get another wonderful heli shot of the Hockenheim ring and the celebrations from Marco Wittmann. Only a couple of weeks to wait before the next DTM action. Of course, we're at Oschersleben, then we're off to Hungaroring, Norris Ring in at the end of June, then Moscow in July, and the Red Bull Ring, Nürburgring, Lausitzring, China. And, of course, traditionally the season finale always here at Hockenheim as well. So long season ahead, but perfect start for this man, Marco Wittmann. Who made sure he enjoyed the celebrations, and Stefan Reinhold made sure he got him back.
He got long odds on that top 3 at the start of the weekend, didn't he?
That was the jump on the top step of the podium.
There's no way to treat the boss. He gets a kiss anyway. Not sure he knew who he was kissing, but he gave him a kiss. Well, the crowd have been treated to a really entertaining start to the season here, Dave, with that DTM race.
Yes, very much so. A number of changes for this season, 2014. And, well, of course, we all wonder going into the race what an effect it's going to have. But you made the point early on that, you know, whatever the changes have been made, that whatever the rule changes are, it was a dramatic and exciting and overall entertaining race, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that man did well, didn't he? 4th place for Rocky. He's going to defend that title. He's going to give it everything. And from 10th place, I'd be fairly satisfied with picking up some good points. Yeah, it's always exciting at the start of the new season because you never quite know what to expect. As Ekström said in the press conference at the start of the weekend, now we put the laptops away and see if we really are quick.
Yeah. Yes. Of course, there's been all the winter testing, all the winter work that has gone on, and I know we've been speaking to a number of the drivers ahead of the race and all their preparations that have gone on, and there was as is always the case at the beginning of the season, there's a feeling of, right, at last, let's get on with it, you know. So some of the shots then from across the day with the DTM song playing in the background. Press conference will come in due course, as is always the case, hosted by Peter Reichardt. And there's the damage early sustained by Jamie Green. That was really early on in the race. And funny enough, he was one of the drivers that we spoke to who was really, really confident going into the race, wasn't he? He wanted to go well, wasn't to be. He's philosophical in conversation with Verena after the event. Knows it's a long season with a long way to go and a lot to be done. So, but not the start that he would have liked.
No. And despite the moment of misjudgment, great performance this weekend by Da Costa, wasn't it? The Portuguese driver.
Yes.
It's going to be right up there. He's this quick already. He'll have hard days, of course. It's not always all fun and games, but Da Costa's obviously got the raw speed and the talent to be competitive in DTM. When you think about the amount of Formula 1 drivers that have come into DTM and struggled, he should be well impressed with himself, I think.
So a lot of new liveries across some of the cars. Champion Rocky, not one of them. And Christian Vittoris, we saw there. Just a little bit of contact there, we saw as well. Now that was the bold and ambitious move, which fairly ruined Timo Scheider's day, didn't it?
Yeah, and Da Costa's in the end. And no dramas for Marco Whitman there, was he? Got the lead early on and just stretched it away.
Still some racing to come here at Hockenheim as part of the DTM weekend. The schedule's changed just a little bit in terms of the race entertainment provided for the big live audience here. Still a couple of races to come, one for the Formula 3 Euro Series, another for the Volkswagen Sirocco R Cup as well. So we get another heli shot there of Hockenheim and the surroundings. And shortly we'll be going off to the press conference where we'll be hearing from Wittmann, Ekstrom and Tombe, as well as from Pascal Wehrlein, won't it?
As the top Mercedes driver, yeah.
Yep.
In 11th. He's driven well, actually, in a car which doesn't seem to be competitive this weekend, at least. He's been up there all weekend, hasn't he? Amongst the front runners from that manufacturer.
Yes. So up next then it will be Oschersleben for the next round of the DTM. Of course, all the information and great English translation, incidentally, on the website at www.dtm.com. You can find out everything there. I urge you to check the website out. Really, really good with lots of stuff on there. www.dtm.com. From our commentary booth, we look over to the Baden-Württemberg Centre, which is where the press conference is going to be held. And irritatingly, they've put the blinds down, so I can't see, Chris, whether they're there or not. It's a few steps away from where the podium is, so it'll take a little while, and then it's on the third or fourth floor, isn't it? So might be a few moments before we get to the press conference. So we're still looking at some of the highlight shots or low-light shots, as was the case for Jamie Green, who's surprised us both with his orange livery. Didn't expect Jamie's livery to be necessarily changed for this, his second season with that manufacturer, but change it did.
He's not best pleased with Farfus after all that, and then another man that might be a bit frustrated with the Brazilian was Timo Scheider. Those two came to grief on that last lap, didn't they?
Yes. So there is Tombe, and that was the clip that we think.
I might see it from this angle, actually. We haven't seen this before. He really came up to him very quickly, didn't he? Yeah, just clipped the right rear corner of Tombe's Audi as he pulled out, darted out. Well, the car started to disintegrate, but it was just some end plates. It was not enough to slow him down too much.
No.
There was only a couple of laps to go anyway.
So then the drivers will be on their way to the press conference where we'll find out exactly how the race played out for them. And it's fairly obvious to us how it was exactly as you predicted. It ended up being a race of two halves. I think you're absolutely right. I don't think we're going to see that at every race. Just think that today, this afternoon, it's exactly how it did play out. But I think every factor was right for that to happen.
Yeah, circuit's going to be different. Temperatures are going to be different in other places. And 2 seconds. The start of the race, it seemed to be more like 1 3/4 seconds. There did seem to be an even bigger gap between the two tyres once those fuel loads had gone down to more like 2 seconds. In some cases, slightly more than that.
So there was Marco then taking the checkered flag. And the team celebrating on the pit perch, and big crowd here at Hockenheim, and just look at those flags being waved. As atop the car, he continued his celebrations.
And for the team, that's a culmination of all the work they've been doing pretty much since the last season ended, building up over the winter, preparing for this new DTM campaign. Put huge amounts of effort in.
And you're absolutely right. The work starts, really almost as the checkered flag falls on one season, the work for the next season starts. The preparations, of course. So as we see the Hockenheim circuit, off to Oschersleben, 18th of May, 1st of June, Hungaroring, 29th of June, Norrisring, 13th of July, Moscow. The 3rd of August, it's the Red Bull Ring, 10th of August, Nürburgring, Lausitzring on the 14th of September, and China on the 28th of September. And the grand finale on the 19th of October here at Hockenheim. Extraordinary amount of, I know it's only panel damage we're seeing there to Jamie Green's car, but perhaps we didn't get a shot of the rear end of Farfus, but it didn't have any effect on him at all, did it?
No, not at all. Well, nothing visible.
No.
Farfus went pretty well in the race in the end. But, yeah, unfortunate for Jamie Green. I think it's got the pace to be much, much more competitive. He, as I say, made that mistake in qualifying when he had looked quick, and then that never really got him a chance to get going in the race, did it? But I think Jamie Green, who, as you said, looks more comfortable in his new team, Team Rosberg, and looks happier all round. I think he'll be back. Probably itching to get to the Norrisring. It's his circuit, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. Yes, very much so. And this man has he's had an impressive afternoon in the Deutsche Post BMW M4 DTM. Timo Glock.
Shame for that man, wasn't it?
It was rather. Yes, it was rather.
Debris, not that incident there running wide. That was fairly early in the race, but some debris. We heard he ran over and got that front left puncture just as he was charging for a podium.
Gary Paffett, Joey Hand, and of course we haven't even mentioned that pit lane incident, have we, with Maxime Martin, when
yeah, they released him with the wheel not attached, and then poor Daniel Gadea just had nowhere to go, did he?
No, he didn't, but
had to sit and wait.
He did stop, didn't he? Thankfully, we thought initially there'd been a little bit of contact between the two cars, but Juncadella had anchored up in time.
I think the great thing about all this is that when we come back here in Hockenheim at the end of the year, we've got absolutely no idea which one of these guys is going to be gunning for the title. It's wide open, isn't it, this season?
Okay, Peter Riker is the man that will host the press conference right now.